Hi, my name is Ciara, and today I'll be presenting about legalizing all drugs. Mentioning the legalization of drugs brings about a lot of controversy, and most wouldn't stop to think and ask why, because it's pretty simple. It's wrong, right? Well, I'm here to say that I disagree. Firstly, who's to say that's what's wrong or right? Is there a special rule book for our society that explicitly states the wrong things to do and the right things to do? If you're religious, then you'd probably say yes. But to those of you who aren't, you're most likely answering no. Despite your religious standpoint, I believe we can all come to the conclusion that if you care about humanity, that you don't want anyone to use drugs. So what's the answer? I believe the answer we are resorting to right now isn't solving the current problem. Drug use is at an all-time high, and it has to stop. The only option we have left is to decriminalize and legalize some of these life-threatening drugs. Today I'm going to present the crazy notion that legalizing drugs will better our society. Most people are afraid to discuss this topic because they've either experienced drug addiction, had or have a loved one experiencing drug addiction, or they're concerned that it could happen to them or their family and friends. In order to prevent drug addiction from rising, we must rehabilitate, not imprison. Imprisoning those who use or sell drugs actually does little to no good because those who are affected by addiction don't get the help they need while they are behind bars. Also, those who resort to selling drugs are incapable of bettering their financial status while imprisoned, which is why people resort to drug dealing in the first place. In most cases, when a drug addict or drug dealer is released from jail, if they haven't received a long-term prison sentence, they usually return right back to the lifestyle they were living before. So instead of jailing those who use and sell drugs, why not put programs in place to help better their lives? This would not only better the individual's lifestyle, but it ultimately helps us as a society because the more productive members we have, the better. Prohibition actually increases the drug use rate and does not decrease it. We are under the impression that when our DEA makes these big drug busts, that we have one less dealer on the streets and less people using. It's quite the opposite, because normally there is a drug dealer waiting to take the other one's place. Take a look at other moments in U.S. history when we have prohibited substances and access to certain things. When we made alcohol illegal, all it created was a huge black market for liquor. When we illegalized abortion, it created back alley doctors and leaving women to take matters into their own hands. Making drugs available in pharmacies and dispensaries would be similar to how we have access to tobacco and alcohol. It's regulated, only adults can purchase it, and helps our economy while decreasing the drug use rate. Legalizing drugs would take the drugs off our streets and put them behind counters where they're less accessible to our children and minors. It would also allow for us to tax and regulate drugs just like we tax and regulate other legal drugs such as caffeine, alcohol, tobacco, and prescription and over-the-counter drugs. Lastly, doing this would provide clean drugs. If the government is the one dispersing the drugs, then it has to be regulated by the FDA, which ensures that extra harmful substances that are causing overdoses wouldn't be added to the drugs like fentanyl. It may take our society a moment to come around to this idea, but when we do, we will see a better change in our world. In conclusion, providing rehabilitation, ending prohibition, and providing a safer means for people to access and use drugs is the answer to fixing this ongoing problem in our country. It's scary to think about, but sometimes we are left with no option. We are getting to that point in our country today. We cannot lose any more lives to this awful disease. What do we have to lose?